SoundCloud. So you'll notice that I work in the growth and new market development. My background is as a game developer, actually, but a few years ago I switched to the dark side, and the organizers today, they asked me, okay, Andy, we don't want any marketing bullshit. We don't want to hear about App Store optimization. We need a sort of a technical topic. So I thought, okay, what can I talk about here? So I'm actually going to speak today tell you the story about how we rebuilt our iOS app from the ground up. So I work pretty closely with the mobile team at SoundCloud, and I've seen it develop. So this story is as much about refactoring and re-architecting the way that we build stuff at SoundCloud as it is about the iOS app or specific technologies that we use, although I will go into some detail on those too. But if there are specific technical questions which I can't answer, then I'll be very happy to meet up with you afterwards and get those answers directly from the iOS team. Clicker is not working. Boom. Okay, so a bit about SoundCloud. We're an audio platform, something a bit like YouTube, but for audio. And we're really a platform for creators of any kind of audio, from like singers, songwriters, podcasters, journalists, creators of all types of audio, DJs, podcasters. They use SoundCloud to get their sounds out and distribute them to the world. We have an iOS app and an Android app in native, and we also have an HTML5 mobile web app. And today I'm going to be mostly talking about the iOS app. We have like a bunch of integrations with social networks, so you might have seen our widgets on Facebook, Twitter, and also we have an open API. So we have a developer site where you can access information on how to build apps which leverage the SoundCloud platform. But anyway, to start the story, I'd like to bring you back to December 2012 when we first kicked off embarked on this mission, basically. So what you see here, this is the whole mobile team as it stood at that time. That's me on the far right. And right in the center here is Eric Wolfhorst. He's co-founder and CTO. And Eric was taking charge of the mobile team at that time. We'd just lost our mobile product manager. And Eric had stepped in to basically bring the team together and to really sort of help us reimagine like what we should be doing in terms of like bringing SoundCloud to be a mobile-first organization, because originally we've been developing a lot of stuff on web, and I think it showed like how important it was to the company that Eric was personally leading that team at that time. So yeah, this is us in Portugal. We went on a team offsite, got all together in a big villa in Portugal, and like sat everyone who's involved in mobile down together. Just to really think about, okay, what are the issues, what are our challenges, and how can we really create a world-class mobile team at SoundCloud? So one of the issues that came up time and time again during this offsite was our existing iOS app. And this is the analogy that we use, and this is how we also explained it to the exec team later when we explained what we really felt that needed to be done. So imagine trying to do repairs on this house. The iOS app was developed originally by a contractor team, and they'd stayed with us for about a year or so to keep developing it, but they'd left at this point. We had a couple of new iOS engineers that just joined the team, and basically what they'd inherited was this really shaky legacy code, which they didn't really understand, was poorly documented, and actually like even the crash reporting, as we found out later, had a bug in it, so it was under-reporting even the number of crashes we were getting. But we knew from our users, from customer support, that we were getting a ton of crashes, and it was really hard to diagnose stuff. And also it was really hard to build new stuff. Imagine building a new room onto this house, like it's probably going to break something else. So it was really difficult to maintain and a real burden on the team, but also the team didn't feel any ownership of it because they hadn't developed it. So one of the things that we kind of came out of the offsite with was, okay, we need to sort of look at ways we can solve this. And Reactive Cocoa actually became a sort of key part of the solution. So at this point, we hadn't decided to rewrite the app, but we started messing around with Reactive Cocoa. A guy called Rob, who has now left the iOS team, was building some prototypes, was playing around with this new technology. It was fairly new at the time, and yeah, it seemed like it could be a good fit for us, and it was making some really nice progress. But at the same time, we still had this legacy app in the store. We still had like over 10 million active users who were complaining about crash bugs all the time. We sort of had an obligation to fix the app for them. So around this time, we hired a really important hire as a director of mobile engineering, who really kind of came in to lead the team and to empower the team, the iOS team, to sort of make the right decisions and to kind of come up with the right process. And it was Mustafa, our director of mobile engineering, and the team itself who kind of combined made the decision to take the plunge and to actually rewrite the app from scratch. And that was like a big decision with a lot of risk. I mean, we had legacy app in the store, and rewriting the app from scratch was going to take like 6 to 9 months at least. So we estimated it would probably be finished at the end of the year. And this was around March time in 2013. Okay, so yeah, we started building, not just the code itself, but also the team. We added some new members to the team. We were hiring new iOS developers, and another critical hire was we hired a full-time test engineer, so a guy called Slavomir, who came in and really helped to level up our processes in terms of how we approach testing and also how we approach development. So really like big focus on test-driven development and like writing unit tests, and really testing everything that we built in a sort of a more sort of systematic way. And a very big part of that was the CI pipeline, which I'll come to in a minute. So yeah, lots of testing, trunk-based development. So basically we do everything off the master branch. We don't... okay, so yeah, here is a like traditional model where we've got sort of code being developed on branches, being integrated at various points, and then maybe like there's a code review, and it gets merged in like much later after the feature's completed, and there's maybe integration hassles. And we wanted to kind of try something new and step away from this approach. So we moved towards continuous integration. So like some fundamentals of continuous integration is that, yeah, we integrate regularly. The way we work at SoundCloud is that we pair program now. So in the iOS team, it's all pair programming. Well, not all, but a lot of the development is done in pairs, which means we don't do code reviews on the pair program stuff, which means we can move quite fast, although yeah, there's an overhead in terms of resources, of course, having 2 programmers on everything, but it means that the code is like in good shape to be integrated, and we integrate really regularly. And a really key part of that is having like an automated CI pipeline that can do a lot of automated testing, such that like when we build, we can build, and we build off the master branch, and we basically always have code that's in a shippable state. So yeah, covered a little bit of this already, but yeah, we move fast, hopefully keep the code base as healthy as possible, and ship reliable apps. And that was like a really core goal for this, for moving towards a CI approach, is that we didn't want to get into a state again where we have this house like crumbling down, like with rotten foundations that we can't fix. We want to sort of be sure that we're always shipping something that's high quality and reliable. So a bit about some of the tools that we use to accomplish that. So I'm not actually going to talk about the gardening implement or the cartoon character, but it's Ruby Rake. How many of you have used Rake before? Okay, 1 or 2. So it's basically a domain-specific language. It's built on top of Ruby, and it's the domain that it services is task automation, or specifically around build processes. So we use Rake extensively to build our CI pipeline. So there's a lot of work done there. Good thing about Rake is that you can, basically any Ruby code is executable within your Rake file, so you don't have to like jump out to do executional or procedural components. And we combine it a lot with YAML configuration files, YAML, which plays quite nicely with Ruby. So between the two of those, and yeah, a bunch of custom stuff for automating testing, firing events into simulators to like simulate key presses or swipes and things like that. We had to build a lot of custom testing code in order to get this CI pipeline to a state where we really trusted it. But now we have this wonderful pipeline where we can essentially build any build at any point. We do an integration on our CI server. We use Jenkins for our CI server. And yeah, we can basically build right the way up from alphas right up to App Store releases. And we can be really confident that what we tested as a beta build or an ad hoc build for distribution, it's exactly the same binary that we ship to the App Store. It's like binary the same. So we can have a really high level of confidence that what we ship is going to work. So inside the company, we basically, everyone who's got an iPhone in the company gets our alpha and beta builds. Actually, not everyone gets the alphas. It's more the people who are closer to the mobile development side of things. Everyone gets the beta. It's like an internal beta for the company. We have around 250 employees now, so I think around about at least half of them, probably a few more, have iPhones. So the internal beta, we get a lot of feedback from that. And then yeah, we can use basically the same rake build file, rake file environment to actually build our App Store build that we ship to Apple. So this is how it looks in practice. Each file has like its own bundle ID, each build, so we can actually test like multiple files on the same device. So we don't have like, we can developer can have the latest development build that he's working on that maybe is not even integrated into the main branch yet, but then we can also have the alpha and the beta existing side by side, which is really helpful. So yeah, and as I mentioned, can go all the way up to the App Store build, or with the same CI pipeline, or with the same automated testing. So back to the story. This was early 2014. You remember that I said we thought it would probably take 6 to 9 months to ship the new app and to build it from scratch. And even that was pretty scary to our board and to the exec team. It's a lifetime in mobile development to be not shipping anything significant for 9 months. And actually, during that time, we really didn't ship any updates at all to the existing app because we were scared of breaking it. What we did ship, I guess, was a very small update for iOS 7, just to update the visual design a little bit. But other than that, we really didn't touch it for basically turned out to be over a year, which is pretty scary. But I think what this really shows is that the development team had a lot of trust from the rest of the company that they were going to do the right things and make the right choices and build things properly. And I think it's a really nice story there that the company actually gave them that time and allowed them the freedom to build something really cool. So yeah, this is how it looked in early 2014. So this was like January. Morale was pretty low at this point because we sort of missed a couple of ship dates, I guess, by this point. And as you can see, the UI, it's looking okay, but this is still pretty ropey. It's still a way of shipping. So yeah, it was kind of a tough time, and morale was low. And the CI pipeline was, it seemed like we were spending a lot of time building the tools and the pipeline and working on the CI stuff rather than building features and moving quickly with the app. So sort of, I think the developers at this point felt that, okay, maybe this is, maybe we made some terrible mistake here. But the good news is that, like in June 2014, we finally shipped, and we shipped a really beautiful app, and it's really performant. And yeah, it took a lot longer than necessary, but what was really exciting was that we really accelerated. Like everything kind of fell into place around sort of February, March time, and suddenly the story started getting completed a lot quicker because the CI pipeline was really working and the developers really trusted it, and we were really able to really kind of accelerate then at that point. So actually, by the time we shipped, I think the developers all kind of had their feet up for at least a week because they were really confident that the app was going to work, and they've basically done everything. So this was the result in terms of crash complaints. This is weekly complaints that we received from our community team about crashes on the iOS app. That's when we shipped in June. Yeah, as you can see, relatively almost zero crash reports afterwards. Now we do have our own crash reporting built in. It works now as well. But yeah, I'm not able to share the absolute numbers from that, but I'm able to share what we got from the community team. So yeah, it was definitely a success from a stability point of view. So that was kind of like mission accomplished there. I think there were maybe some users who didn't like the new design, so it was pretty radical, so wasn't universally well received. But in terms of stability, performance, and like team morale as well, people like everyone who'd been involved in that had like basically been involved right the way through the process and had like been involved, yeah, basically built the whole app themselves. So they had like a real good feeling of motivation and ownership. So in terms of like what's next at SoundCloud and what we'll continue to work on, and some of the lessons learned as well, I think is quite important. I made a list of this here. Yeah, so one of the things that we learned during this project is not to try and implement final designs that are not final, because we ended up actually doing a lot of rework because we'd be prototyping design stuff, implementing it because like the developers like had time to actually, they were getting sort of ahead of the curve a little bit, and so they'd implement features that weren't design complete, and then they'd have to go back and re-engineer them. So yeah, we learned that lesson to wait until designs are like really finalized, and also really like the testing thing. Like we put a lot of emphasis on testing these days, and that's something that we never did in the past. So it's from test-driven development, unit testing. We tend to prefer like a lot of unit testing to a lot of end-to-end testing, because the end-to-end testing it's tricky to set up, it's kind of fragile, it breaks a lot. We do end-to-end testing as well, of course, a lot of automated testing, also the internal alphas and betas, and yeah, we also do user testing where we bring in users to the office and have them play with early versions. So we do like a bunch of different kinds of testing, but development-wise, unit testing like pays off a lot with the CI pipeline approach particularly. Yeah, and in terms of what's next, we're working on a bunch of stuff. So there was some features that we cut in order to make that June 24th deadline. And yeah, so we're working on playlist editing features to add back into the app. We're working on a cross-platform streaming library, and we'll probably add offline sync at some point next year, which is like a heavily requested feature. So, and yeah, one of the kind of more sort of techie topics that we might tackle is we might actually look at replacing core data. So we like the way that the app's built now. Going back to the house analogy, where we had the sort of rotten foundations that we couldn't really get at because we'd have to take the whole house apart brick by brick just to get at them. Now it's being rebuilt in a super modular way, so we can actually replace layers or modules in the app pretty easily. Everything's pretty abstracted and pretty modular. So we're looking at maybe replacing the persistence layer. We're currently using core data, but we might swap that out for something. So yeah, that's the end of my talk, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Вопросы есть? Так, ребят, я вас увидел, я к вам дойду.
Hey, I'm pretty excited to hear about your reincarnation. It really sounds like a successful story. But what I'm really curious about is that today was the first time when I heard about Rake and Ruby, and I get excited about that. And I just want to know about how do you test your app? What tools do you use for that? For unit testing, for functional testing if you're doing this? You were saying about end-to-end testing, so what are the tools?
Yeah, okay, so I'm not the super expert on the testing suite, but yeah, we run a lot of the whole CI process and the CI pipeline, including the automated testing, is all run on Jenkins servers. We have basically a big array of like Mac minis that churn through all that testing. In terms of the specifics of like what tools we use for the end-to-end testing, we built a lot of custom stuff. So that was what took a lot of time earlier on in the project. We have some tools for, like, as I mentioned, like creating like firing in events to the simulator to simulate certain actions and things like that. I think we're planning to open source some of that stuff soon, but don't quote me on that. I can get back to you afterwards with a few more details. In terms of the unit testing, I'm not sure like what specifics we use, I'm afraid.
You're not sure about what?
The unit testing, I can't comment too specifically on the approach there.
Okay, so we're just going to find the team and speak about it later, right?
Yeah, I'll be totally happy to put you in touch with our test engineer, and yeah.
All right, thanks.
Cool.
Thank you very much for your speech. I was interested what developer techniques you were using first time when you were rebuilding this app, and which techniques are you were very excited with? Maybe it was reactive programming or something else.
We use Reactive Cocoa extensively, both for APIs, the API layer. We use it extensively there, and also quite a bit in the UI. There's a really good post on our Backstage blog. We have a developer blog, SoundCloud Backstage, that talks a little bit about how we use Reactive Cocoa on the API layer, and how we use it there to sort of merge API calls, things like that. So I'd say, yeah, definitely Reactive Cocoa was the big one. But I mean, also the whole like CI pipeline was something like totally brand new. Like the way we did it before was very ad hoc. It would be a case of just individual developers working on particular bits and pieces, all in just like regular Objective-C, and then we sort of just make a build and upload it to Apple and hope that it worked. And so I'd say like the big lesson there, like moving to CI, is just giving us so much more confidence that we're not going to upload a build to millions of users that's going to break.
Еще вопросы? Okay, that's it. Thanks you.
Okay, thanks a lot.